Aloha, welcome to the Neutral Zone. It's Monday at 11. I'm your host, Jason Schwartz. I have a terrific guest today. I have AMORAH Light with us. Hang on. Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste. I've been around for a long, long year. So many men sold away. And I was around when Jesus Christ had his moment of doubt and pain. Made damn sure that Pilate washed his hands and sealed his fate. Pleased to meet you. Hope you guess my name. But what puzzling you is the nature of my game. Good morning, everyone. How are you? AMORAH St. John is here with us. AMORAH is the hostess of GUTSY Women, which is on here Fridays at 11 a.m. here at KAKU 88.5 FM, the voice of Maui. You can also find us on Facebook Live. You can also see all of our shows at MauiNeutralZone.com the day after and forever. We like to keep the library up there, and everything's found, of course, on YouTube where it lives. AMORAH, welcome to the show.
Nice to be here on the other side of the table.
I was going to say, you're on the other side of the table. We were 2 weeks ago, I guess, or last weekend, I was at a New Warrior training with Mankind Project out in KNI and couldn't get to your GUTSY Women show at the Pro Arts Playhouse there. You have had two at a time, pretty much, right? Two at a time on your show.
On GUTSY Women, yeah, right here on KAKU.
What makes someone gutsy?
Well, Jens, let's see. That's a great question. The dictionary definition for gutsy is determined, courageous, and filled with spirit. So after almost 2 years of interviewing those kinds of women on Maui, I thought we need a showcase. I want more people to see these women and see their talents, see their creativity, and bring them together on a stage, which we got to do last Saturday at the Pro Arts.
Well, I happened to listen to the repeat on Friday when you were talking to Stephanie
and Julia. Yeah.
Julia.
Yeah, their performance was off the charts. They created something brand new for the program, for the show.
Mime, right? They didn't speak at all.
They were miming an entire relationship that meets in a restaurant. They fall in love, they get married, they have children, and then one of them dies at the end. All in 8 minutes, pantomime to music with sound effects.
Wow.
It was amazing. I think they're onto something.
That's a very funny thing. I remember when I was growing up, Marcel Marceau always really intrigued me, and his ability to communicate without speaking.
Yeah. Well, Jason, words are only 7% of the communication. Everything else is
right?
Where you're coming from, your energy body, your movement, your eye movement. 7% is words. I mean, sometimes you could look at Donald Trump and just think, he's communicating just with his sneer, way and beyond the words he uses.
Before he speaks, before he anything.
Yeah. Or look at a little baby, how they communicate. There's no words.
Well, has anyone done an in-depth look at AMORAH? I mean, I know that you've been part of the media world for a good long
time. Yeah.
Give us a little bit of history, because everyone here, if you haven't seen or listened to AMORAH's show, AMORAH is a very skilled and talented and, practiced hostess. So you've been doing this a long time?
About 30 years, yeah.
30 years?
Yeah.
You can't have. You're only 30 now.
That's right. I was a mere babe when I began. But I got turned on to it. I have a degree from Northwestern in radio, TV, and film.
Oh,
and I thought, I'm going to make it big in New York. I'm going to get on the Tonight Show and be the producer and make a splash. And then I realized that they were all owned by corporations, and that you were all being pretty much told what to do, and there was no creativity that I could see. particularly locally in Chicago and the local markets. There was mostly news and weather and a few little live shows. And TV was so complicated, so I thought, wow, let me take a look at radio.
I see.
Because it's so much easier than you walk like we do. Walk in, you turn on a switch, and we got Tony out there, we've got Renee managing the station, but it's a much easier walk than the TV side, as much as I think we learn visually.
Right, well, that's interesting. I think of myself as a TV show, but I happen to be doing it on radio because I take the Facebook Live feed, and then I put credits on it and get rid of the beginning. That sometimes we get sort of a funny start, and then I get rid of the end and turn it into TV shows. So I've been doing TV now, I can't even believe it, almost 28 years here since they opened KAKU. I was in the first class. Don Couch was my trainer.
Well, see, you have a proclivity for it, too. I mean, we all know that when you have a microphone, you're talking to more than just one person, which is, for me, exciting, because my mission in life is to spread it around. When you hear something good, when people learn through their stories, that's why we just talk story on my show, not facts and figures and ideas and theses. It's really people's stories where we learn. And the media can broadcast those stories. Like this very same station we're here at. KAKU, 88.5 FM.
And I think of my show as stories, but I originally was going to do this thinking that I would interview candidates, and then found out the FCC...
Equal time, right?
And they give equal time amendment for all candidates. So then it was, okay, if I have 9 people running for mayor in the primary, I can't deal with that. So I switched to values, and I've been taking it kind of in groups. I'm now in the environmental stuff. I've had a series of really interesting shows with people that are farmers and new way of creating power and biochar and soil regeneration. Well,
let's tell the truth, Jason. We do these shows for ourselves. We learn and we grow as hosts, meeting and knowing so many wonderful people. And we get firsthand info, way and beyond watching a newscast or reading a book. So we're blessed in that way. And I'm always surprised more people don't do this, because it's a way to meet and greet the people you've always wanted to know, and to get to know people even deeper, the ones you already know.
I've flipped it a little bit in that I'm inviting people on with an agenda and direction of what I want to do on the outside. I want people to see how things fit together. And if I don't get to show them up close and personal like this, the public is sorry about you guys. Most of you are asleep. And so
I always say those with ears to hear and eyes to see. Those were the people that we'll be speaking to that we're attracting.
Oh, yeah. It's been good. So what have you liked best about being a hostess for your show?
Well, I kind of just said it. It's doing that deep personal connection with people's stories, and spreading that message to the world. My mentor was Barbara Marx Hubbard, who is no longer with us. But she said, which is what galvanized me when I was in my 30s to get on this mission, that our media is our nervous system of the planet, and it literally, if it broadcasts bad news and gloom and doom and despair, then the social body, this planetary system, becomes sick, because we're getting nothing but the negative. And when I heard that, I thought, God, that is so true. If you look around, most of it is either sensationalistic or negative, and let's do something positive. So that's been my mission, is to get an antidote to the good news, to the bad news, called the good news, which we need a whole lot more of these days, because I think that's why we're in such fear. We've got the media talking all the time about the coronavirus to the point where you want to scream. And enough is enough in some ways. I think Blaine said it yesterday best at Unity Church, that if fear is taking hold, it's just out of proportion, because it's almost more dangerous than the virus, because that's catching. You can catch fear.
I see. Okay, well, that's interesting. I look at this media thing now. It's a tough balance, because I think it's often said that what we know about what's going on is shy of really where we are after testing it. So it makes good sense to be careful.
Oh, totally.
But not to be fearful.
Yeah. Michael Beckwith said too at Agape Church yesterday, which we listen to every Sunday, is that the universe has just taken a nightmare pill a nightmare pill, because it's thrown us into this tizzy, which is not surprising given the nature of the beast. But it's still it's still more fear than we need to have. We need to manage it in a way that is healthy.
Well, and my thing is, be careful but not be fearful.
There you go.
And I guess it's a personal journey for all of us.
Yeah.
In this whole
Course
thing.
in Miracles says love is letting go of fear. That there's only two emotions in the universe. One is love, and one is fear. Everything we do comes from either of those places, and it makes life really simple. Like, okay, what's your come from? Are you coming from love, or are you coming from fear? Makes it easy.
It does, but again, it's coming from love or coming from fear. But that joke about the camel. But tether your camel.
Exactly.
It makes sense to do things.
Well, you're tethering. I see you're wearing a glove here.
Well, this is
a little tethering for you.
And if I'm going to be on the board, I thought, I brought less things in to have to track.
Yeah.
And they're being very careful here at this public access television and radio station, which I very much appreciate.
Did you hear this morning they were saying no gatherings with more than 10 people now?
Yes.
Is that here, or is that everywhere, or what was that? I know Trump was on the air this morning. I just didn't hear all of it.
Well, what I've heard is, where things are much more accelerated or where they're concentrated, like in New York or Seattle, then for sure, no more than 10 people. But it's a recommended guideline, and in just a couple of days or weeks, if the numbers were and potentially go up, then they'd be implementing that kind of thing anywhere. Nothing, as I understand it, is nationally decided now. It's all being decided state and local.
Well, the news this morning, KITV, said that we have one person who is tested positive who's here on Maui, and that was a person who was in Canada recently, a visitor. So it's not endemic to the island. So I thought that was good news, and it's just one person.
Well, it depends on what hour you listen to the news, because I heard that also, though that was a lady from Canada.
Right.
I remember that. But there are a couple of people from Kauai, and they found someone on a cruise ship. So
I'm just saying on Maui, where we are.
I understand. So it's actually up since this morning. But, I think just being careful God knows, God willing, it's nowhere around in our arena. Mm-hmm. And if we keep that going on, we won't have the big problems. And we're potentially very, susceptible, because we're an island.
Yeah.
So I definitely see.
But we're also more out of reach if we're an island, too. It's another way you can spin it. I
wouldn't spin it that way. I see cruise ships coming in.
I see spinning it that we're protected.
And we're all protected, like I say, by doing those things that we should do to protect ourselves.
And in Hawaii, we have the aloha spirit that elevates everyone. That's why I think a lot of us are here, is it has a certain energy to it, a certain vibration that is higher than New York City or Chicago, where I'm from, or even Marin County, that there's something in the air here, vibrationally, that I think almost helps our immune systems.
Well, I hope that everyone out there who's in the sound of my voice has a lot of aloha, which is helping your immune system. And I'm just glad that I'm just finding the first day, the days that it was happening, it wasn't really real. And then it started to get real. And like you say, the media does its thing to get us all heightened to the point of could be fearful.
Right.
That's what we're doing here.
They stir the pot.
The good news.
Yeah. Let's spread the good news.
When you've had your show, I'm kind of framing you with the fact that you've been really presenting and uplifting the view of women, which is really terrific.
Women has been my focus. I've had shows called Women Like Us, which I love the play on words. Women like us, like we like each other, and they're like us, so let's get together. And another one that ran for 5 years back in the Bay Area was Women of Courage. And that was because there was such a high incidence of breast cancer in Marin. In fact, I was just talking about this last Friday on my show, that we decided to do a program and find out why that was so rampant. And what I wound up doing is talking to all these women who had cancer, thanking their cancer, every single one of them, because it changed their lives in a new direction that they really must have needed and wanted. And that they talked about their spiritual journey through this. So here I am, back with women, gutsy women, talking about their journeys through cancer. A number of my guests have going through that. One of them, particularly my new friend Sarah, is rising above it like nothing I've ever seen before, because hers is a terminal diagnosis. And I'm just so inspired by some of these women who are doing it. They're out there on the edge.
Yeah, terminal diagnosis, but keeping a good attitude.
Oh my God! I get up every morning and I'm just grateful. And she's invited me to chronicle her journey through her cancer journey to her deathbed, so that others will know that death isn't something you have to be afraid of. She said, I knew when I was 8 I was going to die young.
No, really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I remember when I first got involved with Adriana, when she was going through her journey, and her good attitude.
She was another one,
example for everyone of keeping a smile on your face and being positive and growing through this whole episode.
I remember visiting her in the hospital, and she's saying, I'm kind of excited about this next dimension I'm going into. I'm kind of excited. I couldn't believe she said that. But now I kind of get it. Some people, I kind of wanted to die and go to heaven since I was 7, because it was such a glorious picture of heaven. I just wanted to get there fast.
Well, when you say go to heaven, what comes to my mind is your play about Trump going to heaven.
Yes.
Tell us a little about that.
Well, after he was elected, I was, like everybody else in the country who are liberals, just was irate. Like, this can't possibly be happening. And I needed to do something to get my upset and frustration out. And I'm driving down the street, and I'm thinking to myself, just wait till that guy gets to heaven. He is going to be paid back big time. He's going to pay for his sins, kind of thing. And then I thought, gosh, when Trump gets to heaven, it's a good name for a show. And that triggered the whole script, which was just basically him arriving at the pearly gates and God being a woman. And the judges who sent him back to Earth are as a little Syrian girl born to an unwed mother. That was his karmic due in my play. And the judges were all a Mexican hombre. Oh, you were in it, Jason. You were the Mexican hombre who you played the Mexican hombre. That's right.
Well,
I
and Gary Eric Molina, who was the original.
He was the original. That's true. And Gary Levitt played Trump to a T. He was so good as Trump. I got the wig and the red tie on Amazon. And we rehearsed, and the other judges were a transvestite and a African-American man and a woman. Virgie Cantora played a Muslim woman, and they all circled around him and decided on his punishment, which was going back to Earth.
Oh boy, isn't it sad?
But it made me feel really good to write that. It's like I got it out of me, and then we could laugh about it. That's what I'm saying about keeping your vibration high.
Yeah. But to me, the sad part is that we've come to a point where we just laugh about it. But hopefully this election will rearrange the game a little bit.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
I do too.
Aren't we loving being on Maui, though, aren't we?
Oh, my God. It's the best thing that ever happened to me.
I like this also, being out here in this place. And that's why I'm always talking about self-sustainability. Here we are. The most remote landmass in the world has its pluses and its minuses, but all the pluses are we get to be out here and we kind of design our own place here.
We do. And for me, it's just the warm weather all the time. I was brought up in Chicago. Actually, I didn't leave until I was like 35. And I was freezing to death half my life. I didn't know any different. But it helped it get back to our frequency. It dampens your frequency. I remember when I met Barbara, I was in Chicago, and I said, I think I may want to move to California. And she said, well, you'd have to shine your light brighter here because it's darker here. It's literally darker and colder in Chicago and New York and some of the eastern states and Midwestern states than it is here in California, or certainly Hawaii. You have to shine your light brighter. But here, you don't have to. You can just be your light. You don't have to work at it.
Well, like Ariel likes to tell me, this is the heart chakra of the universe. Right here.
That's right.
We had, it seems that everybody that comes here kind of gets that feeling that this is a really special place.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing.
Yeah. We are blessed and highly favored, I like to say.
So when you made your way from Chicago, you didn't come here directly from Chicago. You went to San Francisco?
I had a 25-year stopover in California, Northern Cal. A little time in Southern Cal, but mostly Northern Cal.
I spent 15 years in California, in Southern Cal. And I came here in 88. And I can't believe I say 1988, and then I realized, my goodness, that's 30 years ago.
Yeah, how about that?
Isn't that extraordinary?
Time flies.
Amazing. I still feel young.
Yeah.
I think we all like to say that.
Well, I think one of the reasons, Jason, you're staying young, and probably for me too, is you're still active. You're out there, you're doing this show, you're always at events recording them and putting creative projects together that really, I think, help your spirits and keep you active. Otherwise, people get depressed and bored, and they live on their Social Security, and then what's next?
Right.
What's next is just the final chapter, what's next?
A lot of the senior communities here really very quiet, very little interaction.
Because don't you live in one?
I live in a senior community.
And what's that like for you?
It's been great.
Yeah?
I mean, I know some neighbors, but it's so interesting. We all
have you become friends with them, or?
Yeah, but to be able to keep our own privacy and distance, so we find that we don't often, as a group, get together, but we know each other and helpful for each other as we all can be.
Nice, good.
It's a good thing.
Good.
But it's been really very respectful, because sometimes, I remember when I was in college and I lived on a hall with others, it just, lack of privacy was always an issue.
Yeah.
But these seniors seem to maintain their own separate space.
Did you get together, though, as a community? In a shared space, or
only in theory.
I
mean, I'm in a fortunate place that's only like 56 units total. And if we get a gathering, if we get 10 people, we're lucky.
Really? It's too bad, because I think when you're older, you need to know that other people are around. You need to know their names. If you need help right away, it seems like the people around you would be the ones you would call on.
If you lived in one of these places, you'd be surprised to see there are no names on the mailbox.
Really?
There is no directory.
Why?
If you don't know who lives in Unit 3, you don't know who lives in Unit 3. You could be next door.
Why do you think that is?
Because of the privacy, and because they don't want everyone to be hit on and found, and they don't want it to be so. There's no soliciting in the building. If you say who's in Unit 9, the managers don't tell you who's in Unit 9.
Jeepers, you're like a non-entity.
Yeah.
Does that work for you?
It's been working for
Really?
me.
Okay.
But I get to know people because I see them, and many of us are friendly and say, hi, where do you live?
Yeah.
Are you in this complex? I haven't seen you around. Are you new here? Like that.
Yeah, good. I think it's good you interact with them.
And some of these people don't drive. And there's, this MEO system, Maui Economic Opportunity, has these buses that run in and out of our place driving all kinds of people.
That's so great, though. At least they can get out.
Talk about a funny system. The bus comes and takes them back. What an incredible service.
It's a huge service.
It's like having your own taxi.
Yeah. And you get your life back instead of being at home in front of the TV.
Yeah.
Which is what happens to most older people.
And I exercise a lot. Sometimes going to the gym, but I find myself taking nice walks every day, which is a great thing.
Good.
Like you say, staying young, staying active, so you don't sort of stiffen up.
Staying stimulated, motivated. Exactly. I wanted to say something I learned yesterday on a video that my upstairs neighbor, whose name is also Jason, sent out because his son is a healthcare practitioner. And it was an interesting theory around, not even a theory, a scientific fact, that the virus begins in the sinus cavities. And they did a whole diagram to see where it eventually originates. And if you immediately, when you might get a little bit of a symptom, heat up your, they even suggested using a blow dryer to warm up the entire sinus cavity area, and that kills them as soon as they enter the body, if you can catch them fast enough.
It's a very interesting thing. I've seen so many different solutions. The one about
how
the hair
simple is
dryer,
that?
140 degrees. I think it was 130, 140 degrees. So use a blow dryer and aim it there.
Right.
Keep yourself dry.
Right.
Another one I heard is to take a sip of water every 15 minutes. Because when it goes into the stomach, the acids of the stomach would kill it. But that it stays in that nasal cavity there because of the heat. Because it's not because of the heat, because it's cooler, because it's getting air cooled going in. So that whole cavity is cooler than the rest of the body. But that's
the opposite of what the blow dryer is about, right?
Well, I'm saying the reason that it in the body, it hangs in the nose and this is because the air coming in keeps that area cooler.
Right.
So the heat from a dry
is what breaks it up.
What breaks it up.
Yeah, yeah.
And by having it where if you swallow every 15 minutes, the thought is that it goes down to an area where your body can destroy it. Which is interesting.
Yeah, well, there's a positive spin. I just wish we had more of that going on.
Yeah.
Instead of these oh my God, we're going to run out of hospital beds.
We're going to run out of hair dryers.
A hair dryer, and not to mention toilet paper.
Oh, toilet paper is already a problem.
Really?
Well, we're going to take a break for our sponsors. We are here at the Neutral Zone. I am here with the hostess of Gutsy Women, AMORAH St. John, and we will be back in just a few minutes, and we will be continuing our conversation. Let me go reach over for the button. The Neutral Zone with me, Jason Schwartz, would like to sincerely thank David Bryan for his support. David was founder and head of school at New Road School in Santa Monica, California, and is the board chair at the Ojai Foundation and on the board for Brave New Films. The Neutral Zone is heard live Mondays at 11 a.m. here on KAKU 88.5 FM, the voice of Maui, and again on Saturdays at 7 a.m., as well as on TV and on MauiNeutralZone.com.
Want to host your own radio talk show? You can. Once every month, KAKU 88.5 FM offers an introduction to radio class at KAKU Plaza at 333 Dairy Road in Kahului. This introduction to radio will get your feet wet and show you what you need to do to get started. Interested? Call us at 871-5554 for more information and registration.
Flesh-eating bacteria may be an unusual ally in medical science.
The wonder of genetic engineering is that we can take a quite scary bacterium, has the potential to cause this flesh-eating disease, and then we can make it entirely safe.
So safe it can be used inside you as a super glue. New materials on the next Big Picture Science.
In 50 feet, turn left. Why are you driving so slowly?
After a few drinks, I'm taking it slow.
Well, you're not fooling the cop behind you.
What?
Get ready to pay in 0.1 miles.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Jason Schwartz, host of The Neutral Zone. KAKU is a listener-supported station. This means that all of the great programs you hear, like mine, are sponsored by you as well as our underwriters. If you would like to help keep the voice of Maui talking loud and clear, go to kakufm.org/donate today and give. And don't miss the Neutral Zone Mondays at 11 a.m. on 88.5 FM, the voice of Maui. We are back. I'm Jason Schwartz here with AMORAH St. John on the Neutral Zone. It's anything but neutral. AMORAH is the hostess of Gutsy Women, which is on here, KAKU, Fridays at 11 a.m. and Saturday repeat at 2 p.m. So that's always a good thing. And I understand that they're now taking our shows from radio, and we're also putting them on TV, so everyone has
on a KAKU television, community television. Yeah. Another shout out to community radio and television. This is our channel. It's the people's channel versus NBC and, even PBS. We are the ones to program it and share our views and our ideas. So I just wanted to say, anyone out there who has a proclivity for media and seeing the power of it, to get their own show here.
Yeah. And I like to put all the shows up so that there's a permanent, easy, available library of past shows.
Yeah.
I know they have that available through the website, but it's a little cumbersome.
Yeah.
So I actually created a website
Good for you.
these shows.
What I do is, thanks to Tony, our erstwhile engineer, he got me onto a Facebook page for Gutsy Women. So I put most of my shows there. So anyone who wants to see a backlog of them, I don't know if they last forever, but there they are.
I think they do last forever. The only thing that I've seen is some people don't have Facebook, and people are pulling away from Facebook.
Oh, that's true.
For a variety of reasons.
Yeah.
So I put it on the regular web and sit the stuff on YouTube.
And you're a lot more technical than me, Jason, I have to say.
Just by necessity over the years.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what's really been a great thing for me? I've gone to the University of Hawaii Maui College now for a few years. And my thing is, I would like to see the young people being apprentice to those with more experience, to try to find a way to get them more involved.
Like
here.
a mentoring program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's really strange in that here at KAKU and KAKU, they use Final Cut Pro and iMovie. At the college, they use Adobe Premiere as the editing software. So,
and never the twain shall meet.
Well, it's like when I've learned iMovie and then they switched up Final Cut Pro and things are in a little different places.
Yeah.
And now over Adobe Premiere, you have to learn, again, new places for everything. And with my eyesight getting less and less.
Yeah, that's true. I agree.
It would be nice if it would keep it simple. I have found that, when there at the college, there are lots of young people that would like to be doing things with media. The biggest question is, when you get out of school, where are you going to be able to use those skills for work here on island?
Yeah.
And that bridge has not really been addressed.
It's an important bridge, too. Otherwise, they head out to the mainland.
Well, and so all the talented people, we train them and ship them. Train them and ship them. And that's sad. So my goal is to get them to go from that environment into this environment. And also, with the Maui Arts and Music Association, link up with the mainland to try to create productions here. And so I'm in the process, I've been talking about it a long time.
Yeah, well, we're a magnet for good talent here. I mean,
we have tremendous talent here.
Yeah.
And the young people coming up, there's tremendous talent.
There is.
But then we, like your gal that was on your show Friday, Julia. She's 19 years old, and she's leaving Maui to go to New York.
Yeah.
Well, it's good for her, but Maui keeps losing a lot of our people, a lot of our young people and our graduates to the mainland because of lack of really any clear direction of how to use it here. So
yeah, and also lack of funding for their dream and vision. That there's no business that's going to hire them to do strut their stuff. If they're a musical talent, they're probably going to find more paid work in New York or California.
I mean, I went and worked for one production company that came here. Summer job, we had an opportunity to work with a production company. And right there on the set, they're telling me, look, you have more opportunity to be working in the industry because you've been here, even though you've just been a production assistant, than all that college. We don't even look at the college.
Yeah, it's true.
It's amazing.
It's a personal growth thing, I think, college.
It is clearly who you know.
It's who you know, and just having a base of knowledge that will serve you well in life. It's basically getting yourself out there.
And how many of us say, oh, look at that. That's Joe Blow's son. That's Mary Jo's daughter. And they're like the same thing. We see the people that are acting, their parents were actors.
Yeah.
Their parents were producers.
Yeah.
It's really that.
Well, I remember asking Gary Levitt, who played Trump in my show. Sure. He was a wonderful actor and a great musician, a choral leader, orchestra leader, and a singer. And I said, Gary, you are so talented. You could easily be making a living in New York City or St. Louis, where there's a bigger market. And he said, no. I'd rather work for free in the theater, do what I love, and then separate that from my work life and stay on Maui. That was his trade-off. And I think, he made a clear decision.
Oh, yeah. And I've heard that a lot.
He works for the county, and he'll work until he, has to retire, and then he'll be able to fall back on theater full-time. But in the meantime, all these talented people basically don't earn a living from what they're doing.
And it is such a commitment.
It's a huge commitment.
The amount of times in rehearsals.
Oh, my God. You got to love it. And they do love it. That's why they do it.
Well, there's a gentleman here that I met, Mark Beltzman. Do you know Mark Beltzman? Maui Improv.
Oh, yes. I know who that is. Mm-hmm.
And he's here, and he's been in a zillion movies and productions, Second City in Chicago, etc.
Yeah.
And here he is now, from long distance. It's amazing now because you can do auditions long distance with tape.
That's
Why
true.
do I hear someone talking in my ear?
I don't know.
Who's talking in my ear?
Remember, it's community radio, folks.
I think it's just a bleed.
Just another version of you.
It's almost like I'm hearing commercials running in my ear. That's interesting. We have tremendous people here, and we're learning to do things from long distance. And so hopefully the media, we're all going to get an opportunity to learn how to use Skype and Zoom and FaceTime. And
it's true.
With all that's going on.
Yeah, the kids are going to learn online now.
We're going to become little isolated people.
Yeah.
Where it won't matter where you are, be in isolation, at least for a while.
If we weren't isolated before, we are now, right?
But it'll teach us a lot of the skills that we're going to need that maybe will bring the mainland closer in terms of opportunity for some of our young people.
Yeah, well, if we can model how to move through a crisis with grace and ease and even some modicum of joy, that would be a good thing. That would be a very good thing.
So what happened yesterday at Unity? I didn't go yesterday.
Blaine Tinsley, who was a former housemate of mine and just a wonderful man, who's gotten very, very skilled at delivering these talks that just kind of hit home. And he did an entire presentation on the importance of managing this disease, not just from the physical standpoint, but from a spiritual and emotional standpoint as well. And what to do around the fear thing that takes over, and to be cautious but not crazy, that kind of thing. And his advice was just so right on in terms of not being swept away by this contagion on the media.
Well, that's good. And I know that they have a Facebook Live feed, and the thing's probably up on
YouTube,
Facebook also.
Yeah, you just have to Google Unity Maui.
Right,
and you can access
Maui.org,
I
think it is. Yeah, Blaine is getting better and better.
Have you had him on the show? He'd be a great guest for you.
Oh, well, I haven't yet. I've been doing, like I said, I've been doing it by subject groups.
Oh, I see.
And, after a while, I think, I have a unique guest. And then I find they've been on Bill Best's show.
I know.
And they've been on AMORAH show and Nurse Practitioner show, and they've been around. So I'm kind of going in my own, that's how I've been doing it.
I think that's a good way.
My own direction.
Yeah.
Choosing subjects like, in this guy that came from Montana, Michael Smith, was sitting here, who was featured in the movie The Need to Grow. Mm-hmm. By doing a show before about farming and the shows afterwards that support these ideas, I'm trying to show our public groups of people and how they relate.
Yeah.
So that as things go on, they have a resource to hear in more detail about things, about a certain subject. Mm-hmm. That's how I've been doing it.
I think that's brilliant.
Yeah. Like I have a guy coming next week about structured water.
I've heard about structured water.
Now, again, whether one believes it or not, or think it or not, I thought that would be an interesting subject to bring on.
For sure.
Because, it's like I know people that take water and turn it into hydrogen and hydrogen and oxygen for health. So I like to bring on things just to get the public thinking and looking and exploring and positive, like you say. I like to take a negative thing and try to show positive things that we can do and people that are working in a positive way.
Exactly. We were on that boat for our whale watching trip with a KAKU, and a wonderful Jay April, who's such a great guy. He's the CEO here of a KAKU Media Center. And I haven't pitched him this idea yet, and I'm not sure it's mine to do. But, a lot of stuff that comes out of here is newsworthy things. And again, like I said, a lot of it is just what's not working instead of what is working. What's the breakdown rather than the breakthrough? And I was going to suggest that they do an ongoing series called The Positive Spin, and bring people in who have another take on the crisis, who can see that crisis is an opportunity, which is the Chinese way of looking at life. Every crisis is an opportunity. So bringing that kind of perspective to Maui as terms of a news offering that would be a totally different way of perceiving it would be a really cool thing to do.
Jay, if you're listening, we just want to know. Well, that's kind of why I created this neutral zone. I think of it as positive in that Mike Molina, our councilman, always remembers, whenever I get to him, he always tells me, you told me to put down the sword. You put down the sword.
Good.
I don't go into these interviews looking to take
Debate.
someone and cut them up. Mm-mm. I'm in there to see what do we have in common. Mm-hmm. What can we agree on? And once we do, we realize we're not adversarial at all. We all want those solutions together.
And another great thing to do is a call to action. And that, again, I learned that from Barbara Hubbard. After every presentation, she would say, okay, now what can we do in the real world? And so I had a call to action at my GUTSY Women showcase. And that was a call to action for people to get out and vote and register and tell their friends. And here's the new system on Maui. And Judy Levy, who I love dearly, who is I call her a social and spiritual activist, got up and did the call to action. And that way people weren't just sitting there being entertained. They were being empowered as well.
Right. Well, you know, that old story, it's whenever you find different groups getting together, they realize vision is one thing, but if you don't take action, you're just a dreamer. That's why I formed my organization called it Dream Makers, because it's more than just dreaming. It's dreams plus the action to create the results that we all want.
Yeah, and co-creation. Like a great example was this show I just did with Lynn McEwen over at ProArts. She was a great partner, and we co-created the whole thing together along with Steffi Garrett. And that made it fun for me rather than having to take on the burden of having to do all the promotion and the marketing, the tick sales, and all the things that go into doing a show. So finding that your co-creative team is a big part of making it work.
You've been real good at getting groups of teammates.
Yeah,
which is really
action by attraction, right?
That's great. And Lynn McEwen is so talented.
She's amazing. She sang a song, a beautiful, heart-wrenching song from the musical Waitress that I don't even remember the name of it, but it was so poignant and touching. There was beautiful moments in that show that we're hoping. I'm going to see if I can get my friend Susie out there at the front desk to help me make a little video of some of the highlights.
So you do have it.
It's some.
Okay.
But not a lot. Just little snippets.
I see.
Next year I'll tape the whole thing. We're going to do it every year.
Well, you know, I keep telling people out there, and I'll say it again. All of us are armed with these cameras in our phones. Lou, who's a tech engineer here from way back when, my camera mechanism broke when there was an iPhone 5. We're up to 10, 11, 12 now. iPhone 5. And I was trying to find someone on island to fix the camera mechanism. And we couldn't find it. And he said to me, you know, the camera here in this phone
it's better.
There's stuff around.
Yeah.
And so I've been doing hundreds and hundreds of shows that are up on TV from the phone.
Good.
So when we all see things out there, grab them. If you're in the middle of an event and they say you can video, feel free to video.
Snag a little excerpt, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, I just finished taking Kat Tracy's class right here at KAKU. It was just, I think, last weekend.
The mobile class.
The mobile class. And I learned so much about how to use your iPhone to capture the moment. Because I'm working with this beautiful cancer person who's walking with cancer, and I'm going to be with her. And I want to be able to be in the moment with my iPhone to be able to interview her or have her say something she wants to say in the moment. And so I realized I was going to get a camera person to do it with me. And I realized, oh, no, I got to learn this myself.
And getting a camera person, I mean, so many people have come to me and say, Jason, can you videotape? Could you do a show? And I tell them, look, you're already armed with the tool.
It's true. The thing is the editing. You know, that's where I'm not a Virgo. I can't concentrate on small things. So I need someone to help me with editing, which takes a lot of precision. But, you know, that's...
I understand. Like I say, with my eyesight, getting more and more difficult.
Yeah, me too.
So I've learned to keep all that as simple as I can. You know, that thing about where's the beginning of the shot, where's the end of the shot.
Yeah.
If you deal with it as little sections and then put them together, it can be pretty
You can do it.
easy.
It's a great sense of accomplishment.
But you can see why I was talking about 3 different programs and more for editing. To try to go from one to the next, you kind of have to realize, where are you today? Am I at the TV station or am I over at the college? Because they use different systems.
They do.
And it's always financial. Like, why does AKAKU do this way? Because iMovie and Final Cut Pro you buy and you own. Whereas at the college, people pay so many dollars per month to Adobe, a special rate, if you will.
Yeah.
But you pay, and you never own it. You're always renting it.
I see. I see.
And so that's better for the college as far as how to deal with it with many people.
Well, you know what Kat suggested? She said, and which I did, I got the app. It's called Filmic, Filmic, Filmic Pro. And it's $14.99, but it's worth it because it allows you to focus right there with your camera and adjust the light. It gives you a times thing where you can see how many minutes have gone by. And it's just a very high-end app for filming.
Well, that's good to know.
And easier to edit, too.
Filmic.
Filmic.
Filmic. KEYMOUSE. No, well, no. The last part's not. Filmic. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Now, these classes here at AKAKU, that's worthy of some mention.
Totally.
The college teaches, and they have a whole regime, and you can take them there at, I think it's $115 a credit. So that's one way to go for class. But here at AKAKU, we have great classes here.
Absolutely. Open to the public.
Very talented.
And there's a slight charge for some of them, but not prohibitive.
Right. And then you get to use them right here.
Exactly. And put your own shows on the air.
And let people know when they're on, and you can have your own private, if you will. Or talk about remote viewing. I used to think when I was doing shows and a lot of people didn't come, what a great thing, because their heads weren't in the way when I was trying to videotape.
Oh, funny.
And then the afterburn, many people saw these things online and on the air afterwards.
Exactly.
So, like I say, right now we're watching television debates, presidential debates without audience.
I couldn't watch that. Did you watch it?
I watched
debates?
a portion of it, but after a while I felt I wasn't really gaining any new insights. It wasn't like I saw, Joe Biden, they say he has Alzheimer's and all this stuff. I didn't see any of that.
No.
And then we see Bernie. They both looked very vital.
Yeah. I just don't like that competition, that kind of... They've got to work together, and I don't know why they go to each other's jugular during the debate and then expect them all to work together like happy little campers after the election's over.
They were pretty mild. That's what I saw.
You really?
I thought it was pretty
mild. Oh, okay. I heard it wasn't so mild. Max told me it wasn't so mild.
Well, they pick on each other like, hey, Joe, didn't you say on the Senate floor that you should reduce Social Security? And Joe says, oh, no, I never did.
So they weren't venomous?
No, I didn't think so. But again, venomous, that's somehow held by our current president.
We'll give him that title.
He wins that role. He wins in that
That's
category.
for sure.
I don't think there's anyone I've ever seen in the media that he defends himself before anyone accuses him.
You know what he said, though, yesterday? He said he was going to put a woman in as vice president. He did make that announcement.
You're talking about Joe
Biden.
And Bernie said pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, they'd better, for God's sakes.
Well, again,
my goal in life,
the choice is the woman, and the woman is not as qualified as the man, then I don't see anything in doing that. But there sure are many candidates.
God. I mean, I can't stand it. Every time I look at the White House lineup, there's 2 women to every 12 men. It's just across the board. They're not represented.
I guess because I'm not a woman, I don't really.
It's Women's History Month today, this month, Jason. It's March. Women's History Month. Look at the powerful women that have made this country what it is today.
Well, like I say, I don't look at men and women. I've had men on here. I've had women on here. But I appreciate that.
But there's something about the feminine energy that if they were in control, because we automatically follow our hearts, we're automatically more compassionate, just the way we're made. I mean, look at who does the rapes, the murders, the violence in this country, in this world?
Not me.
It's men.
Well,
98% men.
Is that right?
Absolutely. And then let's try, the matriarchy worked well for most people. So let's put a woman in charge. Barack Obama said this, and I've said it many times here, and I said it at the show at the Pro Arts, that a woman should rule every country on earth. And a woman should rule every endeavor on earth. Those are his almost exact words. Every. So I thought, coming from Obama, and he did say we need to have the white guys, the old white guys, the old guys step back and let the women run the show for a while. And we'd have a quantum change in this country.
Yeah, the only thing I don't like about that whole thing is the rule part. I keep thinking that...
Well, he meant be the president.
Oh, I understand. But people need to step up. I mean, to me, in this election process right now, the work isn't finding someone to vote for Bernie or Joe Biden or Trump. The thing is to get the young people to realize that they need to be stepping up in greater numbers.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are going to be living this future.
It's really true. And you know what they said in the press conference today with Trump is, I forget which one of the medical people said it, but they said it's the millennials who are going to make the difference. It's the millennials who need to step up now, who are stepping up, and they're unafraid, and they're willing to get out there on the front lines, because it is their world.
But also, like in what you just said, there's all those millennials that need to be responsible, even though they themselves may not be as targeted by this virus. It's up to them to recognize the responsibility to not be the carriers. Mm-hmm. So that's why I said originally, being responsible without being in fear.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Because you can be young and be healthy, but be responsible to others. Like my partner, like I mentioned, my partner is older and has some kind of health potential challenges. So even though I'm still older, I try to feel.
Well, I know your partner, and I know that she is surrounded by the light of God. She is totally protected. She totally gets who she is, and she's can rise above anything that's facing her.
Like I say, I just try to be careful because Ariella's been, sick on occasion, and I just rather not give her that.
Well, let's just send her a little good vibe right now. So I just want to say, Jason, the positive spin I want to see on this coronavirus is that it brings our world together over a common crisis. There's no black, white, good, bad, any of that. It's the breakthrough on this horrible breakdown could be bringing our global family together.
I would love to see
and that for me, would make it worthwhile. Would make this somehow the shift happen.
Yeah.
Because everything gets very clear when people start dying around you and you start seeing our own humanity and what links us more than it divides us.
Well, and that's back to the Chinese. What seems bad is really, really good.
Exactly. Our crisis is an opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, I just finished writing a magazine article for neighbors of Wailea and McKenna. And it's about using our creativity and using this period of time to step forward with our gifts and talents and see what we can do to reshape the future, what we can do to make it better. That'd be a good use of our time.
Yeah. So what do you do when you're not doing radio? What are some of your personal passions?
Oh, well, I'm a nanny. I work part-time as a nanny for gas and groceries, and because I love kids, and I think kids have kept me young all these years, and I don't have my grandchildren near me. So last night I was at the Four Seasons I bet this was a $5,000 a night suite. It was so luxurious that it was almost beyond the beyond, and gorgeous views, and the kids were actually pretty cute. And we walked the grounds, and I fed them dinner and put them to bed, and I made some cash. So that's one of the things I do.
$5,000
I think so. Mm-hmm. That's what those little suites go for that are at the Fairmont, that are on the water. They have their own little pool in the front. Yeah, it's the 1%.
Well, that's interesting. I didn't know they were that much money. I always thought, I'll just have one of those things down at the Keolani. That'll be my office.
No.
$5,000 a night. I don't think I'm there.
for the plusher quarters. Yeah,
that's amazing.
I know.
What's amazing is that people pay that. You know, you could feed half of the town for some.
Exactly. Well, that's how I felt about people putting all this money, like Bloomberg, into his campaign. He could have been feeding those starving children on the border of Syria and Turkey who are freezing to death in the winter.
And you still can, Mike, by the way.
Yeah, no kidding. That just makes me crazy. All that money down the tubes.
And all that money is not even a day's worth of interest for some.
I know. People need to get more generous.
Can you imagine we've been sitting here an hour and an hour has flown?
I know the feeling.
You know the feeling.
I do.
We have about a minute left.
Okay.
Is that right? A minute left. My goodness. I want to give you the floor to, if I can, to let you tell our audience what you'd like to leave them with.
Okay. I think if we all got out of bed every morning and were grateful for the first breath we took and for the sound of the birds and for the ocean waves and for our loved ones around us and focus there instead of the ain't it awful news of the day, that we would be in a far better place physically, emotionally, and spiritually. So that's my recommendation.
I like your recommendation. And I'm going to leave us all with, please come back next week, and please be checking out all the shows here at KAKU 88.5 FM. It's always a pleasure to be here with you. AMORAH St. John, thank you for joining us here today. And on Friday, make sure you watch at 11 o'clock, AMORAH's show. Thank you guys for joining us. We are so happy to be here with you, and we are leaving you.
Aloha.
Have a wonderful week, everyone. Aloha.